I understand that technically we are all ready. We're starting our roundtable. I am Dmytro Vasylyev, Deputy Director of the Center for Energy Studies. I also represent the initiative Energy Safety of Ukraine, and this is the roundtable which is part of this energy safety governmental initiative. We'll be talking about the difficult times in energy sector, about energy security, about how coal turns into electricity, why, what are the threats of this winter, and we'll be discussing it with our respected guests. We have not received the answer from the ministry. We hope that the deputy minister will join us. But we have Ivan Vasilievich Plachkov, ex-minister of energy of Ukraine, who has an experience of working in the energy sector in very difficult times in the last century. He's now the head of the All-Ukrainian Energy Assembly. We do have Dmytro Sakharchuk, head of the DTEK anti-crisis energy crew. We hope that Mr. Volodymyr Yegorov will join us, the Deputy Commerce Director of Donbasenergo. And from Ukrenergo, we hope Zinoviy Butsio will join us. And from expert community, Oleksiy Chernявsky, the head of the portal of energy sector of Ukraine. You know what is the situation with coal. We do have it on the territory of Ukraine, but it's on the territories which are occupied by the terrorists of Lugansk and Donetsk so-called republics. But will there be a decision in the statement? Is there some staff or headquarters which will be responsible for that? What will be the decision made about that coal? Will it be taken to our power plants? Will we have to purchase coal from abroad, from Russia, from the country enemy, or from the Australia or South African Republic? So what decisions will be made? And first of all, I would like to give the floor to the ex-Minister of Energy, Mr. Ivan Plachkov. And there's one problem with me. I do not know how to speak shortly. Please stop me. Because to say a couple of words about the situation, to describe the situation in a couple of words is difficult, but I will try to. First, we know that energy is the most high-tech sector, In order to manage and coordinate, you need to have huge knowledge and a lot of experience, organizational experience. That is first. Second, what's happening today and what we see today is the country, the state is not executing the functions of the state in relation to the operations of energy complex and the system of interrelation between the energy sector and consumer. I do not want to talk about political component. It's difficult to understand. We're talking about hybrid war and so on. But let's talk about energy sector, about providing to the citizens of Ukraine the products of energy sector. What we see today is what many experts were talking about at the beginning of the year. In the middle of the year, we knew that there would be no gas. We knew that there would be no re-export in the volumes that we needed. We knew that the volumes in the storage facilities were very small, and we knew that it would be very difficult to come to an agreement with Gazprom. We knew that, but we were deceiving ourselves, and we were deceived. I don't know why. And they were saying that we'll have re-export of 12 billion, that we have gas in the storage facilities, and we'll do without Russian gas. We knew that we have difficulties, that the hybrid war started. We knew that we have problems with coal, the problems of taking coal to power plants. We knew that we will enter the winter even though that the comfortable volumes that would be needed is 3.5, we were saying that that's enough for us. We will buy from the southern Africa and from Australia, and there will be no fan cuttings off. But again, we were deceived. We were basically not believing, but we were saying that professional teams will come who will manage, especially the high-tech sectors. I don't know, it's difficult for me to assess professionally, but looking at the experience of work of these people, they are professionals, but maybe not in that sector, which is the most high-tech sector. And today, we have 1,200,000 tons of coal at power plants, and that is, we have like 1 day reserve at 8 power plants. We do not produce sufficient electricity for population and industry. The nuclear power plants produce up to 70% of the volume of consumed electricity, and the shortage is from 3,000 to 5,000 megawatt, talking about the capacity in the morning and the evening. 3,000, that is the consumption for 2 such cities like Kiev. So basically we lack the consumption for 2 big cities like Kiev in the morning and in the evening. And according to information I have, our prospects are quite concerning for the nearest future, especially for January and February. Maybe something is hidden, maybe there's some information or some solutions which are made in the interests of the state, and I do not know about that. So, for you to understand, I taking that opportunity. I don't know whether the government representatives listen to us or not, but I would like to explain it to you on behalf of the energy specialists. I've been in the energy sector for 40 years. What's happening today? There's a shortage of production of capacities. We consume much more. We consume without asking whether there's something or not. There is a system in the energy sector, is GAO. The graph of emergency cuttings off, emergency limitations, and there's a frequency unloading, and that is done for a single use. For example, if the system's operating and because of some reason one nuclear plant is disconnected, all 6 units are disconnected, that we have the shortage of 6,000 megawatt in the system, and then the order is given to do the cutting off, like it's done the first turn, the second turn, and 10 turns. If we'll still need more, then there is an order given when the population of the whole region is disconnected to save the energy system, not to have the blackout. But that is what can happen once or twice in 10 years. What happened here is because of non-professionalism, because there was no activity, there was no understanding. of the situation. We received this shortage, which is permanent shortage. It's not a single shortage. And then the state is not executing the functions of the state, but the energy sector is left one by one with the consumer, and the dispatcher sees the difference and gives order to other dispatchers to cut off. And we have chaotic, non-regulated, non-coordinated disconnection of consumers, and people are basically unhappy, of course, why people are disconnected for 8 hours here and others are not disconnected, and we are afraid of these fan disconnections. And there was there was a special commission set up in the 90s, and then we introduced this fan disconnection. Let's exclude this word from our use, the fan, but let's call it turn-by-turn disconnection. And then all the consumers will be divided into groups, and we will tell people tomorrow from 10 to 12 and from 6 to 8 you will be disconnected, and you will be disconnected different hours, and then we will apply the graph of turn-by-turn disconnection of the consumers, taking into account the shortage because of the objective or subjective reasons, so that we save the energy system, but not to do it so that the dispatcher is saving today, who is just implementing the instruction, and not a single state body gets involved into that, not at the level of the government or any other. That is the situation today. If you have questions, I will answer them.
Thank you, wonderful. Of course, what Ivan told is very important for you understand it. Electricity cannot accumulate it for us it is produced and it's given to the system, and it's divided in this. That's why during peak hours, when people actively use electricity, there is that deficit. And during that deficit, it's very important that thermal power station is working. And the more you produce, the more produce when at the time when it's needed. It's important for power stations to be ready for that, and also for us to have. It's an issue of reconstruction. Who invests into that, and to get that power and sea power. And I would like to get a call. I would like to give the floor to the company which is the biggest, Dmytro Sakharchuk, who is the head of anti-crisis committee in DTEK company. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I would like to start with not very pleasant for me statement that we told about this in August and July and also in May. I don't know, probably we didn't have enough of efforts to deliver to inform them on our position. They thought it would be better, that's why they didn't understand that it would be bad as it is now. As I told in September, that would freeze not because of winter, but because of bureaucracy. This is the way it happened. We don't have electricity in the country, and it's not because of winter. It's because this management system in energy sector doesn't work the way it should. As to what must be done to stop all of that, two things. And power stations should produce energy, and they should be reconstructed, and they should be tilled, etc. And there should be fuel. I will start with the construction and readiness, technical readiness. So now nuclear stations up to produce 64% of power. 35 are covered with with thermal power stations, and we have 87 of them that are working. 57 belong to a DTEK company, 10 in Ukraine. So among those 57, no, about 87, 17 blocks are reconstructed. 15, we did it, our blocks. So state thermal stations, they reconstructed only 2 of 17. 4 blocks are under reconstruction. Despite all the crisis, we invest in reconstruction. In general, 6 billion revenue was spent into reconstruction of 15 blocks, which is a good example. It says that now, among I got statistics for today, so the burden, the load of on thermal power stations is up to 9,000 megawatt. Among DTEK produce 7,000 megawatts. So 78%. Because of what? Because we were able to repair, to reconstruct blocks, and because of that we are able to take this power, which other blocks and other stations cannot take. It's very important because if there is fuel, blocks are working, and if they are not able to work, even if you bring coal, they will not be able to provide 3-5 gigawatts a day. I want to get coal. We could step back. We could make a step back. We speak about. We say where to get a kilowatt hour. A kilowatt hour we can import from Russia, for example. We can bring it as a coal, a ton per station, a gas, and to burn it on our thermal stations, and also we can bring it from our mines in Donbass, Ukrainian mines. So these are 4 variants we have where to get that kilowatt hour. And now what we see, the cheapest economic kilowatt hour, that is coal, which is produced, which is in Donbass. It should be brought to our stations. Now, about 3 million tons of anthracite is in Donbass. It should be brought. It will be shipped. A deficit of coal at present of a anthracite coal. There is G, also andressel, also A coal. The half of the stations use G coal. Half of them use A. That's why we have a deficit of coal. It's in Donbass. We should ship it, and that's the best way economically to get that kilowatt hour, because it's a short transportation road. Also because it was miners paid for that. They got it. It should be delivered to the stations. Somehow we don't use that variant, and we look for at others, and it will be more expensive. What do we do? Let's look. If we bring coal from South Africa or from Australia, it will be 35-40% more expensive, and also we must prepay currency, and that rate doesn't allow us to bring as much coal as we need. And if coal from Russia, that's a political component. You cannot go to the market and get it. You have to go find agreements. The same with if we speak about import of electric energy. The same electric kilowatt hour. From where can we do it? Technically from Russia, from Belarus, and Moldova. But two countries, other countries, they cannot produce that energy to us. Whom do we talk to? To Russia. We can have 1.5 gigawatt and this is not just a trade. There's a political component. There should be, and the fourth variant is gas. Ivan told about gas. From among those options we see on the table of the government, the country has the easiest variant to bring coal from Donbass, the cheapest, which will allow to provide to satisfy needs of thermal stations up to March. Even if you don't mind, we will have 3.5 enough tons. It's enough. We are considering more expensive variants. and for which we cannot pay. That's why we have the situation at warehouses. We have 1-2 days stock of fuel, and stations are just working on the minimum level. So, summarizing my opinion and suggestion to the government is to look at the best ways to get that kilowatt hour. We need to bring that coal that's there. We need to focus our efforts and bring reasonable police, prosecution, Ministry of Defense, security, and to make it that coal to come to our stations. And then we would stop this switch-offs. So we should organize it first, and we should get rid of them, because they bring to chaos. Then where is all the problem? If we look at expensive kilowatt hours and if we don't have money, the situation will not change. We can speak about 4 hours about the coal from Australia, but we don't have money. That ships will not come. Nobody will send them. One comment: 3 million tons, and it will be enough if we don't mine, and that will be on DTEK stations. For DTEK stations, it will be enough. But as far as I know, the situation until the end March up to April, we need 10 million tons for us. With this consumption, for us to live through 3,000 trains. That's in general. If we speak about A coal and G coal and T coal, I spoke about only A coal and Z coal. I would like to underline it's December 18 today. The heating period is all in April, on the 15th of April. So 10 days of December, January, February, and March, and April. We need 12 million tons of coal. That's 4,000 trains, 50 wagons to trains. We need to load them. We need to get to mine, to ship in winter, and unload and burn at thermal power stations. And we speak about coal. That coal which is already there, mined. For me, there is such a concept which we need to buy coal from anywhere we can, as soon as we can, and as much as we can, because that will not be enough for us to live through the winter. And what Dmitry mentioned, what do we need to do urgently? A week ago, I told her that we have 10 days left. We have 2, 3, 4 days left before the 20th of December. Special energy committee should be set up, and there should be 10-15 people in it that run high-level officials. And the deputy chairman should be someone from the energy professional, who should include deputy general prosecutor, deputy head of SBU, deputy minister of interior, economy, of finances, and several major agencies of the ministries of the state, who will sit down and work online daily, and who have 2-3 meetings a day, and who will develop solutions. To buy from South Africa, if we decide, we look at price, we make a decision. We report to the president and to the prime minister, and we don't move map back. We buy coal, then the prosecution is bad. It was burnt already, and they say, no, let's bring them to responsibility. Security and Defense Council decided to buy electricity in Russia. Prime Minister dismisses someone, and then a regulation, let's buy, and through some companies. That should not happen. Interagency Energy Committee, and they should take decisions, and they should not return to them, because there is no other way for us. If we don't do that, on the 20th of December. I wish I was wrong. The situation will be even worse in both energy situation and social. It's very important what you're saying, but I have just let me add a comment. These people in that committee, they should work online. They should not work on politics, and they should. It's not my invention. In 1999, many remember, maybe no, don't remember, when payments in the country, we had 30%. We were paying for thermal energy, and the bank payments, they covered 7-12%. Yurii remembers that situation. There was then we had the switch offs, and the situation was very difficult. And then the president made a decision and to set up such a committee, and vice prime minister was running it, and the minister of energy, the first deputy, and at the table there was a deputy general prosecutor, minister of interior, SBU. When we decided on the switch offs and schedules for switch offs and on load fuel. We developed decisions, and we gave 2-3 hours to agencies like prosecution. They put their signatures, they checked, and the decision was taken, and everybody was executed it. And there were no other issues, and this was a dynamic because now we nightmare people, we nightmare generating companies, and they signed a contract, and they invited for investigation. Ukrenergo, what did they do? He was arrested. He's arrested, and now they point to someone else who have to do the same, like those who were before that. Who will take the decision when is threatened? Somebody will have a bad mood in a week, and he will say, check it, and they will be in prison. So it will not work. Selective attitude to companies that generate through a political prism. Donbasenergo stations, to all approach it the same. They divide money, loans, etc. But it's your own is not. We don't know about. And so Slovyan station, they demolish and transformator people come to work. Will they have to be paid from the salary? No, will not, because you are Donbass and DTEK. Will not do this because have a look at you. This is not something to be allowed. We need to depoliticize energy as an industry for some time. On April 15, when we live through, because people suffer. We switch off towns, cities for 5-8 hours, and in Kiev from 11 to 18, because it's not systemic and nobody can do anything. Not the dispatcher of Ukrenergo, not Ukrenergo, not general director, because there is schedules approved by the government. And this committee should develop a clear plan. We should share energy resources. Let's look how much coal, gas, oil, power, heat, and that committee would sit and think and look at every town and village. But now has administrations. Anyone participates? Has their deputy Kiev mayor, have you heard any comment about this situation that we are working on this? Prime Minister? Absolutely. As if this topic is for someone except energy guys. Nobody participates. Nobody even wants to comment, and because the topic is difficult, but it will catch us up. It is a very difficult issue.
Yeah, the emotions are important. It's better to have emotions now than later. Thank you for your very important comment. I would like to give the floor to Yurii Sakva. Thank you. Today we are talking not just about coal, we are talking about energy resources. And that is nuclear fuel, gas, coal, mazut, water, heat. When we're talking about energy resources, there was not a single word mentioned about prices, but I can assure you, I can suggest that even if we decide now on this, if we resolve the issue of supply of coal, gas, nuclear fuel, we will not be able to buy it because prices for energy are not balanced. The first chain, gas, coal, nuclear fuel, heating, thermal energy, heating, and water. Only on condition when all the energy sources are balanced in this chain, we'll be able to buy fuel that we're talking about. Nuclear fuel, we're buying abroad. Gas abroad, mazut abroad, and 50% of coal we will have to buy from abroad. If we believe that the exchange rate has changed and the terms of purchase of energy resources also changed, the situation is that we will not be able to purchase it. There should be change in price, but this is taboo. But the changes in price cannot happen unofficially because they will affect every citizen of Ukraine, and the government, parallel to all the tasks they are faced, have to every day permanently inform us about their pricing policy. We already had we passed the non-return point when the changes of price were not affecting us seriously. If we burn gas, then it should be not less than 2 hryvnias per 2 hryvnias for population. If we burn coal mixed with gas, if we buy imported electricity, 1.5 hryvnias. And we need to explain what will be the price policy. Without that, we will not be able to do anything.
Декілька виходів. Є безплатна.
We have a few ways out. There's electricity which is 35 kopecks, but we don't have it. Maybe there is another way out when it costs more. There are special commissions, the National Commission, which should substantiate the prices for electricity. And the budget should be changed. These are disputable issues, but they are to be discussed. Without such a decision, the decision will not be made to purchase coal. I will disagree with Yurii. Now it's when you say that now it's time to discuss. No, the time is over. First, in the past, we first had to discuss and then make decisions. In summer, you remember I said, let's refuse from hot water and save some gas. What was it? People were saying, what are you talking about? When I said that 62% of the population of Ukraine pay for electricity 25 hryvnias per month, and they give 50-60 hryvnias per month for mobile phone to school children. Let us review that because there's no logic in that. The grandmothers from their pension give 60 hryvnias to their grandchildren to for mobile communication, but they pay for gas 25. But I said there will be time when we are ready to pay 50, but we will not have the gas at 50. Now the time has come. Why do we need the Energy Commission, independent commission, which will, without any discussions, be making decisions? Who stays here till the end of the briefing? I have an interesting document, Resolution 108 of the Soviet of People's Commissars of 1919. The country was in the same situation, and what were the measures taken by the Council of People's Commissars? In the end, I will read it. Our next speaker was to be Alexei, and before the briefing he mentioned that he's sick. He physically cannot speak, so he will not be able to say anything, but we agreed before this round table he wanted to talk about the same thing. He was talking about the necessity of creating a headquarters. We had Groisman as the head of such headquarters. There were members of such headquarters. Now we don't see that. And I support what Mr. Plachkov is saying and what the colleagues are saying, that we do need such team from the Ministry of Regional Development, from the Ministry of Energy, from the SBU, from the railway. We need to have a commission which will be addressing this issue, and that is an issue of price. Once we are talking about coal, the amount of coal and the price for coal, whether it will be bought for hryvnias or hard currency, will be included into the tariff, and eventually will be paying for the electricity and heat. And now I would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. Please introduce yourself and tell me who are you asking the question. And we have online stream, so please speak into the microphone. Before you get the microphone, maybe you have anything else to say. I have many remarks, but is there a mic? I'm concerned with the interview of the Minister Dmytro when he was talking about personnel policy. We will change all the key figures in the ministry because it's difficult to find ideal, did he say ideal people, who were not related to some group. I did not understand that. Today, energy sector, there are companies, Energatom, DTEK, Ukrenergo. What did they mean? One group is ideal and others are not. How in these conditions, when decisions are to be made every second, and these decisions are to be professional and highly qualified, how do we change people? We can find people maybe from some other business, from light industry, who were not connected, from agriculture, from furniture manufacturing, and how can they become heads of companies? And the system around Energatom concerns me most, because today Energatom 66%, and Niedashkovsky, thanks to him, Energatom is in the situation where he's been working a lot there, and we are looking at whether he is approved or not, and that's declared, announced loudly. That is my remark.
My question is to Ivan Dmytro. What do you think about intentions of the government to reduce the number of state-owned mines in Donbass? How that can influence on energy security of Ukraine, and what social threat is there? Look, Every initiative, close and opening of a mine, should have a clear purpose. When they speak about a close and mine, I don't hear an objective. So it's very difficult to comment whether it's correct or not, because I don't understand the goal of that activity. If to speak about whether we need to get coal in Ukraine, yes. Why? Because it's the cheapest fuel for our thermal power stations. Plus, it's the support of national economy and national producers, and those people who live in those regions where the main profession is miner. Should we make state-owned mines more efficient? Yes. Should we introduce new process? Yes. Should we close non-efficient mines to provide the work for efficient and redirect financial flows and to get the lowest cost? Yes. With the best production? Yes. I did hear about that among the messages from the ministry, so it's very difficult to answer your question. How what to think about this? We need to be clear. I will be very brief. I grew up under socialism. I was always against the privatization of energy sector. Categorically, I was against, but there was a change. In 2006, we were preparing the strategy of development of energy up to 2030, and 90% of mines were state-owned, and there was a state enterprise, KP Ukraine, in the part of ministry. So into the strategy, we provided the information that in Ukraine, we don't have energy coal in Ukraine. So we run off. We need to reconstruct thermal power stations and cycles with boiling layers, etc., etc. That was from state-owned enterprises, and we put into the strategy. We need to reconstruct, and in 2012, as it came out, that we have a lot of energy coal and profitability after the massive privatization of mines. So as to reduction of the state-owned facilities, they're not efficient, or we need to sell them, or we should close them. Because if an investor comes and there is nothing, no mining, that's understandable. We have to look, but we have enough of energetic coal, probably for minimum for 50 or 100 years. I have two questions to our guest, Alexander Krychkov, with the Courier. You say that there are 3 million tons in Donbass. How to get that coal? By force, or should we buy it from Dina Alena? How to get it? And a question to Ivan, how to stop this disorder? You are right that the switch off, well, nobody will argue. No, I didn't say that. Don't twist my words. Listen, be attentive. Let me explain that to you. But if 2 tons, for example, and one they switch off 3-4 times, in the other one they don't switch it off. If we need, do you say let's? Do you say that to me? No, you tell them let's, because I say let's for half a year. I told you there is GAU dispatcher for one-time switch off when there is some situation that and they need to not to allow a blackout. So the government should sit down with the heads of administration and two times a week they should come, and where towns and enterprises will be divided and for sharing, and that will agree. Sharing will be agreed that. We had order in their field. You say let's. What let's? They should let you. As to coal, Dmitry will tell you about coal, and I will express my opinion. A decision is very simple, elementary. First of all, political will to start transportation of the coal. We need to agree with the representatives who control those territories. We can name them the way we want. We don't control those territories, I mean Ukraine. At present, we have no other choice, because coal is there. It should be brought to thermal stations and imported. To import coal, we cannot afford that, because we have not made a decision which allows to compensate the purchase of the coal abroad. We didn't take such decisions. It's too late to say we need to deliver coal from somewhere else. Negotiations, they go on. There's negotiations. Minsk and some. We need to achieve one simple things. We need to agree how to deliver that coal to Ukrainian power stations, thermal power stations. How to realize those agreements? Easy. Negotiating groups which build green corridors for trains, and there are armed forces of Ukraine, SBU and prosecution. They can control that coal is coming, and there is no terrorists, no weapons under terrorist payments for coal. They can register. Those who have not, they have accounts that are managed from Ukraine. And it's impossible to move money, but to business cards to miners or someone else. That's very simple. Nothing's supernatural. And when we say that money we pay for coal go to support terrorism, someone says is lying, because if an enterprise is on the territory of Ukraine and the bank account is controlled from Ukraine, and both police, SBU, and prosecution can control how that money is spent. Let me answer simply to a question. Today, to Ukraine, we receive 1 billion cubic meters of gas, and that's what Naftogaz with Gazprom agreed. We signed a contract, we decided on price, and we uploaded to that contract the Prime Minister, the President, and we are happy that we get gas from Russia, we consume, and we cook. Is there such a fact or not? Do you know about that? Yes. So the same with coal. For power stations, for us to have electricity where we don't use gas. We bought from Russia gas from Russia, and we paid in currency. But for houses with electric stoves, we say we don't buy it. We will not buy it. No, there is no logic in that. Let me tell you, those people to small children for whom they cannot cook, and when they switch off for 8 hours, I told you how the Energy Committee should sit down and over Vice Prime Minister, Ministers and Prosecution SBU and State Machine, which decides. Tax decision insists, no, we will not buy, we cannot afford that coal. We cannot afford it from South Africa, from Australia, and we don't have money for gas. Then citizens of Ukraine, let's live this winter without electric energy or heat, but citizens should know. And we should not nightmare them, because he's sitting and is doing something, and then they switch them on, and the switch off enterprise, and half of devices get destroyed. We don't produce anything. agriculture enterprise would destroy them. They were producing something. Let's be honest and say, on one hand, we say the situation is stabilizing. IMF gives us money, economy. On the other hand, the rate is growing, prices are growing, and there is no heat and energy. Then we should be honest, and that will be clear what's is happening there. I think in the system of relations, a few know, and they don't say the truth. Both don't say the truth. Let's say with a humanitarian convoy, but I wouldn't like us to discuss political component. Let's speak about energy. I told you, because puzzles don't match. I don't understand anything in internal and external policy. Not. Let's speak. Several months ago, DTEK told that we have one choice, and that's a quote, to import coal from Russia. You were saying on everywhere, and you wanted it to be heard. Yes, they heard. Now we completely depend on coal from Russia, and then they put us on that resource. They dragged us with that, and then they have an influence, a tool to influence on Ukraine. What will happen to that? You say we don't have other way but to buy coal from ATO. We'll agree now. Then they start the loading and will close other variants. And at the most critical point, they will stop loading trains, and they will suggest to do whatever they want. We cannot speak about business as usual under such circumstances. We cannot do it so easily. There is a war. What are you talking about? Let me tell. Don't twist. That was one of the variants. Let's buy from South Africa. Why don't we buy from South Africa? Why? Why general prosecution put people into prison who signed a contract? That is one of sources. We have three of them. We have to consider all of them, because there I don't know why we cannot buy from over there. Or, do you know why we have bad mediators? Strange mediators are bad. Our are very good, but foreign are very bad, and that's starting with 2004. Let's survive without that coal, and maybe nobody says that we should buy it from Russia. Why? Where is our reverse gas? Why do we buy gas again from Russia and pay money? It's from the same story. How much gas was provided? Who told you about that? More than from Russia, from reverse gas? And there was a question to the DTEK company.
There was a question to the DTEK company. Let the representative of the company answer. Colleagues, let's look at the components of that. That is the choice of Ukraine, where to buy coal or where to get kilowatt hour. That is the choice of Ukraine. Every option costs certain money, and we need to understand where to get this money from. It's very easy to buy now coal from Australia. A big vessel, 250,000 tons, they buy 4 vessels, and they've got 1 million tons. I'm answering. Please don't interrupt. In order to buy this coal, you need money. Now we say, let's buy. Okay, we're for that. We're ready to buy coal, but tell us where. Doesn't matter, Donbasenergo, Ukrenergo, DTEK, any other company, where the company should take money to buy this coal. Now, the tariff for electricity does not include the imported coal. I'm talking about that at every press conference starting from May. Once we cannot take coal from Donbass, let's include into the electricity tariff a special surplus to cover the difference in price and transportation costs. But the decision hasn't been made. The time we need from order till it comes from Australia is 2 months, 45 days. Today, 18th of December. If we make this decision today, the vessel will come only on the 18th of February. Once I say that we need to purchase coal which is in Donbass, I say that is the quickest way. Within 3 days we can supply coal to Ukrainian power plants. And the wagon from Dolzhanska gets to Pridniprovskaya power plant during 48 hours. Or even in 24 hours. If we say that a special commission should be set up, which is looking for the coal which we need now, Pridniprovskaya power plant now has 19,000 tons, and every day they burn 10,000. We can use all the coal. Today and tomorrow the Dnipropetrovsk power plant will stop operating. We can wait for Australian coal if the decision is made now. But how do we address this issue? At present, there's no decision in the country about Ukraine being ready to consider the option of taking coal from Donbass. There's no political will, no person who will say, I am ready to agree with you about taking coal. 3 million tons that are in Donbass. How much, what does it mean? For how long will it be enough? According to the balance that was signed in November by the ministry, we need the coal to survive till March. We need about 3.5 million tons, 10 million tons. So what does it equal? It equals the work of all the plants in Ukraine till March, without all these disconnections. Microphone, that's approximately 10% of the volume of consumption, not more. Taking into account hydro and nuclear, it's 10-15%. You were saying that the dollar rate, if we buy this coal abroad, it will be much more expensive. How will that affect the consumer? What will be the prices? Our prices today are distorted. They are not realistic. They do not correspond to the requirement of today. 30 kopecks electricity for population, 1 hryvnia 34 for industry. This is absolute nonsense. For the population, it should be 10-15% higher than the tariff for the industry. Everything that heats the environment and lightens the environment usually costs a lot. So if we have the exchange rate, which we have, we are buying the fuel from abroad. The price for population should be about 1.5 hryvnia. This is the price in Belarus, and it is considered to be privileged, and the substantiated price in Belarus is 1 hryvnia 80. In Russia, it's 1 hryvnia 50. It has been more than a year. We cannot afford it. Moldova, Kazakhstan, there's not a single country with the price for population like we have. I can also express my opinion that this distortion of price parameters is the biggest negative impact which led to this situation in the energy sector. There's no other way out. But how do we do that when we pass the non-return point? How to change the paradigm which we have created during these 20 years, the paradigm of social prices instead of the paradigm of social privileges. The prices are important for us, and we need to change that. But how do we change the paradigm which sits in the brain of every person? It is very difficult, and that's why I say that the openness of the society should start immediately. There's no other way out. We need to be open to public. Only price can help us save. If the price is high, if it is economically substantiated, then it will lead to energy saving. There's no other mechanism in the world. I can say it in one sentence. In Ukraine, we have the most illogical tariffs in the world. There's no other thing in the world like Ukrainian tariff for energy resource. It's just illogic when we are talking about reforms, the new government, the reformers, European reformers. They are just not mentioning that. It's like there's no political, I wouldn't say that there's no political will. I would call it even different. We need to bring them back to logic, because there's no tariff in the world which depends on the volume of consumption. When the population is divided into 5 categories, if Y consume up to 150, then I am the citizen of that quality. But if I consume 151, then I am a different citizen of the country, and the approach is different. Nothing has to be invented. We have Poland, we have Moldova. Our tariffs have always been set up via the prism of elections, of political component, and that started back in the 90s. The tariff has to reflect the price, and the price depends on how the electricity is produced. If the coal is bought in Australia, then the price will be much higher. That's expensive, that's currency, and compared to hard currency, hryvnia goes down. So the tariff should be economically substantiated. And the colleagues asked the question from Interfax, what is the the coal from ATO zone, the coal becomes political good, just like gas, and there should be a political decision. 2 seconds about tariffs, because again, the situation will be distorted. The social tariffs today, kilowatt of electricity is 30 kopecks for everyone. For those who have 2-room apartment, the pensioner in the village, and the owner of 5-room apartment, and owner of a huge house with a swimming pool. The compensation goes from the budget via Naftogaz, for example. That is all done via the Naftogaz, and the state compensates the pensioners and owners of huge houses. The state compensates and gives subsidies to owners of 2-room apartment 100 times less than the subsidy which those who have the castles. That is distorted logic, and that is why we say the tariffs should be economically substantiated energy resource should cost as much as it costs. Electricity should be compared to gas, heating, water, and those who receive less money, they should get subsidies, targeted subsidies. Try to organize it. Try to give subsidies to those people who are poor. That is a lot of work. Our government believes that we will not be able to do that. And it is easier to say that we have low tariffs, to give 20 more billion to Naftogaz, and this way to provide subsidies to rich people. And rich get 1,000 times more subsidies than poor people.
As you know, before the war in Donbass, there was illegal mining, and now there's information that trucks go to Ukraine and that they sell that coal. What do you know about that, and what are the schemes there? It's for anyone who can answer this question. Let me try. There is almost no order on that. This is a fact, and if we had that before the crisis, and I believe that there is illegal mining now, but volumes and where to they transport, I don't know about that. It's very difficult to answer that question. In the south of Odessa, there is Kili, the Tarbunare, the Belgorod-Dnitrovsky districts. I worked as the head of administration there. Those districts have no gas at all. And they have no forest there. Just where the wood was cut off, and sometimes it's minus 20, minus 25, and people live there. And at the beginning of the heating period, they had no coal at all. No coal. And people, it's horrible. Winter is coming, and they have no gas. Now they switch off electricity for 6-8 hours, and there is no coal there. So if they come and bring coal from illegal mining, let them do it. For people just to warm up. At present, in April, we should sit down, and because the government does not regulate it, I told them, let's set up an energy committee in August, and let's make calculations. Let's calculate our energy resources. In Sumy region, they have one situation. In Odessa is different, and Kyiv is different, and in villages where we have gas, and we have gas pipes during independence more than during Soviet times. We'll ask people to save, and to move to wood and every mayor in 3 months they should organize meetings of villages, and they should reduce gas consumption, and saved gas should be provided to such big cities like Kyiv, because Kyiv without gas, I don't know how to heat it. Electricity, Kharkiv, Odessa, but that they must do it. And you know how much gas we have in our storage facility. I know gas balance quite well, and at any time of the day. Of course, we will not buy from Russia. Some reverse gas is coming, but that's nothing compared to what we need for our industry, what we need to heat up Kyiv. We will not survive without gas. This is what happened. So we have to start thinking about that. I don't know what will happen in January. The less pressure in the storage facilities, the less we can get, right? What happens in the end of January? It's difficult to predict with these volumes and with that reverse gas you are talking about. From Europe, you think that will be sufficient? That's nothing. It will not be enough. Thank God we have it. What's Rovenki, Sverdlov, are they registered? How you say that you have 57 blocks, and what's could you give more details about the situation on your stations and in DNR, DLNR? How already there? There is a different. Who provides for Zinoviy? How call from Poldar comes to that station? As to the blocks, you ask details. I'll give you details at present. Today, in energy system, we have 44 thermal blocks. 34 of them belong to DTEK, 77%. And the site, I will not tell. I will speak about stations. Luhansk 2, Kryvyi Rog 2 blocks, Pridnitrovsk 2, 6 now. Six blocks. They are working. They are in operation. They produce less than minimal, less than 100 to 120 megawatt. That's the. As to storage facilities, Luhansk 10,000 tons when with normal 400, Pridnitrovia 19 with normal 450, Kryvyi Rog 15 with normal 400. As to gas stage boosting Plachkov, Zinoviy and Ladezhin, we have enough of coal there. In Boria, they have about 150,000 tons, and all the blocks are in operation except one, which is under TO, under maintenance. And as to G coal, we don't have a problem yet. We could have that because there's a debt of DTEK with all generation about 5 that money was not paid to us, and now there is a huge debt of generating enterprise, not only to coal industry, about 1.5 billion, and that is for suppliers of equipment. For if we don't cover debts, there will be problems. Will be tomorrow, and this will be in January and February. As to Zinoviy is provided with a G from Dnipropetrovsk, Volgograd. Coal comes they need, and from Zinoviy they have 79,000 and 150 megawatt per hour. As to how to agree on transportation of coal. How to do that? We first of all we need to answer to the question: what's the alternative? If we have an alternative and we have money for that, we need to use it. We don't have an alternative except to transport coal from that. I don't know about such alternative we can afford. Then we should think how to be done. The tools are in political. If there is a political will, then it should be one simple thing. Dmytro, there is water. That's a hub, and they're not allowed to transport coal from state-owned. If they stop ceasefire or peace, and if they demine, and if train starts moving, then we'll get coal, and we'll live winter without switch offs. If we don't develop such a decision, we'll sit, unfortunately, in the situation when there will be switch offs, and we'll not have a chance to develop our economy, etc. Because you know that during switch offs, they will switch, and enterprise will be switched the first. Mazut, what about Mazut? About 40,000 tons. That's for 5 days of work. I don't remember. What's the state reserve? That's all the company should not have mazut, because even in Soviet times, listen, in Ukrenergo, there was a reserve of mazut, 180,000, that all belonged to the state. It was not allowed for Ukrenergo for the money of customers to buy mazut as a reserve, for reserve. And then the budget of Ukraine, there was a line. Purchase of procurement of mazut for Kiev heat power stations, because that is of mazut is not for companies, it's general, because Kiev, it's a capital, it's a customers and special importance. That's why I misunderstood your question about how many companies. There shouldn't be companies of mazut from correct social times. We have 7 minutes left, so last 2 questions, very brief, because in 7 minutes we have to leave this hall. Observing what is happening on coal market and energy market, journalists like an observer, I have an impression that coal from South Africa, when they were transported, there was a conflict artificially done. Somebody lobbied it in the general prosecution. They stopped it, and they prepared this scenario for us. So tell me, please, clarify. DTEK, will you purchase the rest, 250,000 tons, and the first game ship and other 3 ships? Give a clear answer. Will you buy coal from South Africa? And why DTEK can do it and Zinoviy is in a jail? They accuse that person, and the same story with is played on energy market, and the shock. Yesterday and the day before yesterday, when there was switch offs, 6,000 megawatt, 6.5 nuclear blocks are switched off in the country. When there was information that it was there was agreed export of electric energy from us. Why don't we receive it? We speak to others, and they tell me someone is fighting for monopoly to get monopoly on power grid, state power grid, and everybody knows who. Just give me evidence. It's not so, because my article is ready. It's in the printing house, the way I see it. But you are very informed man, but we are interested in scenarios. Somebody's developing on this market, and it's clear that artificial. It was 2,000 megawatt were planned. Then they enlarged it, then reduced it, and now 6.5 thousand. That's a death, and there will be so many deaths. How many people die in hospitals? Capacities, daily capacity, 26 gigawatt. Plus minus 26 or 26,000 megawatt. 6 gigawatt you are talking about. That's a balance between a possibility of producers of energy, all the stations, nuclear, thermal, etc., and consumption. What Ivan told you. 6 gigawatt, except nobody provoked that. Absence of that capacity. This is the situation. Stations, thermal stations are not able, because of absence of coal. Because of absence of coal on the stations, and we in Kryvyi Rog, Pridniprovsk, Lugansk, Mayovsk, Tripolsk, so 5 Starobeshevsky, Slavyanka. Of anthracite coal stations, there were blocks switched off because there is no fuel. They are not switched on because we don't have coal. When all the country comes home at 6 o'clock, and if you switch on, you don't ask if we have fuel. So automatically says the system, sorry, consumption is higher than capacity to produce. A dispatcher doesn't have blocks to which he can say switch on. So he disloads all the blocks. And to say that there is a plot, universal plot, I cannot say, because switch-offs happen automatically. Why there is no coal? We know, we discussed it. Will we buy that coal from South Africa? I don't know. There was information in press that we could protest. They don't use microphone. You can speak to our press service and you get the answer whether DTEK buys those ships, and probably there are vendors and they have their own price policy. We don't negotiate with those vendors. That's why. Do we buy or no? Are we buying or not? Maybe if the price is good and we can pay. If we can pay for those ships. We don't see that we can prepay 50% or 30% for boats. We don't have money to buy those ships with coal. I don't have information whether we negotiate or not, or negotiating. But I told you about generation, and situation is such that we cannot afford to import coal because we need to make prepayment for that coal in foreign currency, and you know about the dollar rate. The colleagues, I have one. Let me explain about electric energy. Ukraine energy system works in parallel with Russian. If there is a deficit of capacity, Ukrainian consumers consume a lot, then we have an agreement about zero balance of for 25 million kilowatt a month. That's nothing. So a dispatcher, Ukrenergo, what he has to do, Ukraine consumes a lot. And if for the frequency not to fall, or we switch off from Russia, and that will be very bad. And there is reflows, and dispatcher switch off consumers in Ukraine because if a dispatcher allows more than 40 million kilowatt hours of, next day, prosecution comes with SBU. They start a criminal case and they can arrest a director because why? What for? Because it's that is what smuggled. It didn't go through the customs, and dispatcher will have to give orders, and because this issue is not regulated. Look, to buy electricity, Cabinet of Ministers agreed with that. We need to negotiate energy, and I don't believe press. And the only correct decision, listen to me, what should be done? Pass the law that electric energy market state, they should purchase that energy which we are missing from generating companies, and they should receive. Then there will be no questions to Energy or electric networks for this period. For us, I know to have insinuations and also nomenclature here, but that is not done. Let's sum up with this. Maybe somebody else would like to conclude just in a word, because we have to stop. Okay. Thank you very much. The topic is very difficult. And you have a question. We have representatives of press service of DTEK, and we have colleagues who can answer your questions. Thank you very much.